They have played 54 games this entire year. Sorry, 55, and have only lost 6. So this team has been incredibly dominant, and that can be usually two things. Either they are just really, really good, which is what people are claiming, that Unicorns of Love is a dark horse. They do get to scrim against LEC teams, which we know are quite capable, or it also allows teams to get away with mistakes that would otherwise go punished at the international stage. So let's see what V3 has prepared today, because we already saw a game from them, a really solid game plan with a ton of options out of them. And here on blue side, I do think the Ashe priority is going to continue out of them, just because it just offers you so much flexibility with your composition.
You know, as far as early matchups at Worlds go here as well, it's pretty high for jungle matchup, to be honest with you. Boogie had a very good opening game here, and we know he's kind of one of the central forces in this V3 squad, but Ananasik is no slouch, and a jungler that quite a number of people are excited to see, because he's just so aggressive a lot of the time. So it could be a fun one there between the two. They've already banned a jungler apiece against each other, Evelyn on the V3 side and Lilia, of course, on the UOL side. But Lux, Lucian, Ashe, and one more are going to get banned out of Phase 1 here as well. So we'll see what the options are left. We've seen a lot of first pick Nidalee today, I feel like. We'll see if that one's left open here or not to Boogie.
Yeah, the Nidalee first pick is tricky, because it does put your composition in a tricky spot, because you do want to have that first pick Nidalee, but also pair her with physical damage in the top lane. Will be banned out, so maybe V3 can show us a different look here. Let's see what they prioritize, because it's been quite different according to who their opponents are. We've seen anywhere from first picks Leonas, Pantheons, but hovering quite a few champions. Marksman seems to be the name of the game. It was before Worlds were played, and so locking in the Caitlyn red here is no surprise, but this is not the buff Caitlyn. There are options to beat her, although Ashe was the predominant pick that you at least started with in the laning phase, looking at potentially Senna, maybe even a Kalista.
Yeah, always interesting to see what happens when Caitlyn gets left up, but we'll also see what the trade is here, because the V3's first game when they were on red side to start off the day had a really good kickoff rotation there, with the Renekton is one of those picks, so it does feel like such a strong, safe pick for UOL to take, but they're actually going to take Orianna extremely early here, just wanting to give Nomads a comfortable champion. Fits into a variety of comps, pretty safe blind pick overall in the mid lane, but maybe just feeling like Ace doesn't have anything here, and that Nomads is so good on the champion, or a combination of any of these things, that they are willing to take it early. But I do like some jungle priority. Ananasik played a ton of Graves this year, and he's going to continue that trend here at Worlds.
It's already two champions that make a ton of sense against the Caitlyn. You don't want to get into her range, so being able to kite her with your spells, or even from a distance, is just going to be a really effective way to approach this. So already Unicorns is showing that they had a plan to beat the Caitlyn. You're getting hypey for the Ahri. There's a possibility it's going to be the Sion instead, so already things are falling in line with what V3 wants for a Caitlyn composition. Lots of beefy front line, lots of CC, and just create a lot of room in front of Caitlyn so that she can auto-attack freely.
I think that's a really good point, Crumbs, because this is so different from the priority that V3 showed us in their first game here. Like, we had Paz popping off on Renekton, and now he's fallen back to more of the playstyle I associated with him when I was watching V3's games of playing the Sion. But Akarthus nice and early, you know, could be for mid lane, but I think more likely for the jungle, certainly.
Yeah, it could definitely be Karthus mid, but I agree with you. I think it makes sense into the jungle here, into the Graves. You're just looking to power farm nonstop. You're not really thinking about countering, jungling him. You just want to hit the team fighting phase, and Unicorns of Love already is putting a stop to that, locking in the Camille before it can get banned. Going into the Sion matchup, true damage against his massive HP is going to be fantastic, so that you can now move away from the very intense team fighting that V3 already has, and actually just open up the map. Divide and conquer is going to be the approach for Unicorns of Love.
Kind of fun to see, you know, two different passes that work after you die as well. Sion and Karthus have a lot to say in any team fight, regardless of whether they're dead or alive. But a really curious draft here for V3, as Leona's going to get banned out on the UOL side. Bard also banned away by V3, so kind of the bot lane getting chipped away here. There's no bot lane pieces right now for UOL, unless Graves is going to do something really different. But kind of setting up here.
So I think the Leona ban already is telling me that you're looking at maybe taking something like a Pantheon here in the lane. Rakan has risen in priority for a lot of players. You do have the option of having a spellbook and also being really pivotal in those 8-minute Rift Herald rotations where you can just TP into it and surprise your opponent. We've seen a play just like that out of Santos before, but locking in the Nautilus here would just make your composition really solid. You have a ton of crowd control already, and you're able to just press that button on Caitlyn and she'll get deleted.
Yeah, Pantheon banned, so not an option there. Twitch banned as well. Senna, I guess, kind of the obvious marksman left open here, but UOL have a lot of different picks they could potentially go for. I imagine, actually, they have all the solo laners now, so they are going to kind of pick their marksman instead of their support. I guess wanting to take away one that Reina maybe would have wanted to grab, but set support is back up again if Reina wants to play it once more.
Yeah, so you do also have a possibility of playing mages in the bottom lane here. I really don't think that that's what they're going for, but you have to consider that V3 does not know what Unicorns of Love is up to. They don't have a lot of information on them, so they have to approach this draft giving them as much room for variance as possible. So it is possible that they can go with that. The Heimer, I think, is just a throwback to Detonation FM.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the Nico was also a pick that they learned the hard way how deadly it could be against them. They're instead going to get the Galio, which was banned so much against them. Getting away with this pick now makes me pretty excited from what we saw they could do earlier, and now getting a pick that was really targeted against them in the region.
Yeah, I kind of like it here. I think just solidifying, some protection and some team fight. You said it already, Crumbs, where this is a comp that feels designed to be played around Caitlyn, and Galio certainly adds to that. No Man's Cassidy's kind of legendary where he's from, and he's going to take it here.
Oh, there it is. It's Orianna bottom.
Oh, it is too. Ain't that fancy?
Look at that. This is what's exciting about this team. This is why people were thrilled about this roster, not only because they play Cassidy more than any other team at Worlds, but they have an answer to Caitlyn that no one else has tried, as far as I know, at least this year. Orianna bottom against it. Let's see how good Gadget is on this pick, because we're obviously going to be looking at this pick from the eyes of a mid laner. If they can deliver or at least keep up in the laning phase and perform in team fights, well, you now have a very scary Unicorns of Love moving forward.
I like how casually I said, oh, it's No Man's Cassidy, of course. Like, he's played a lot of his banned a ton in the final as well, so it's clearly a champion that he's very comfortable in, that he's known for. Massively strong scaling pick, and I think the Galio lane feels like pretty comfortable for Cassidy to try and get through, but completely forgot about the part where Orianna already got selected, and that is going to be the focal point of this matchup, at least early on. That's so cool from Unicorns of Love. In the first game, we're expecting maybe for them to showcase the creativity that this organization has become known for throughout their history, and this is a way to kick off your Worlds campaign, Crumbs. Gadget playing Orianna bot lane.
Yeah, if he delivers on it, you now have to always keep this in mind when playing against Unicorns of Love. They've already gotten to see so many teams play today. This is what they've come up with the response, and let's think about the synergies that they're going to play into when you have the Orianna, because now you have Orianna Nautilus together. Nautilus Ultimate is guaranteeing you to hit a fat shockwave on top of it, and champions like Karthus and Caitlyn that want to get into the fight will never be able to break into your backline if they have to deal with that. And then you also have a Cassidy to add on top of it. If the Unicorns of Love can actually get items on these picks and get past the incredible amounts of crowd control that are in V3's composition, you see the theory that they had behind this draft.
Yeah, and I mean, we still have a scaling pick, right? It is a mage instead of a marksman, but Cassidy is like unbeatable in certain situations, it feels like, once he hits level 16 and has the items rolling. So No Man's no slouch on the pick. UOL already bringing something different to the table here. And, if they're a team that flexes Orianna around, then all of a sudden that becomes an extremely valuable pick. And it feels so silly, right, to ban something like Orianna. It's such a common mid laner. Like, everyone knows how to play with and against that champion. But not if you're playing against UOL, apparently, because Gadget's got some tricks up the old sleeve. Welcome to Worlds V3. You had a nice, kind of, I guess, relaxing opening game, like looking pretty solid, playing nice and consistently, had some good aggression, had a really stable team comp. You've mixed it up again here with the Karthus and the Scion, getting yourself to Caitlyn, and UOL say, hey, how about this one? Probably haven't prepared this.
Yeah, how about it? And let's see how much they have prepared it as well, because if it looks fairly easy to execute, I wouldn't put it past other teams to just copy it right away. That's a big part of Worlds. You see somebody else doing something pretty cool and you say, hey, I could do that too. Our laners can definitely get away with this. We can play the Orianna bottom, and just how we saw earlier, the Twitch and Rakan being taken away from Rainbow 7 as Team Liquid had played it, maybe the Orianna Nautilus bottom lane combination is something that other teams would like to take up as well.
Look, I will be taking this up if nothing else, but certainly could be a fun option. And like we said, like Worlds is a long tournament played on one patch with the best teams in the world in attendance. You learn quickly, or you drown. Unfortunately, Worlds is a brutal tournament at times, especially in the playing stage here, where it is best of one single round robin here in these two different groups, and UOL trying to get their first win on the board. V3, as we do have a pause, are looking to get their second win here. Try and compete here in the group after a good opener early in the day.
Yeah, so normally I wouldn't be in a panic situation if you're up against a Kassadin, because the way that teams tend to be Kassadin is you punish him in the laning phase, you get away with just harassing him into the turret, these jungle invades. But with the mid 2v2 that V3 has, the Kassadin pick can almost guarantee himself to hit good farm numbers, to be a level 16 threat eventually in this game, because Karthus Galio isn't really the lanes that are going to punish him. So the Kassadin pick makes a ton of sense here, knowing that the laning phase is going to be quite easy and that you have a Graves to back you up worse things if the worst is to happen, since Galio Karthus isn't even a combo that can actually invade and be as scary as these diving champions are. So there's not a ton of value in this pick, which is why I think he's gone with the Predator, looking instead to be a lot more roam focused and assist the map that way, as opposed to being your jungler's second help.
Yeah, Predator and Galio is one of those things where, like, when we took away his ability to like flash taunt, Galio is like, I need another way to get around the map, man. I need some faster shoes. So Predator certainly a way to get that happening, as Reyna did have a settings issue that has thankfully been resolved. So we are back into the game here, and peering over the rest of the keystones. Nothing super surprising, I'll say. Phase 1 gadgets are always kind of cooler. Yes, Crumbs?
They're going to do it again? It's a lane swap. This is what they did in Game 5 of the finals. They invade the red side and they have the Scion, which is just a really solid 1v2 champion. And if teams are not used to this, which no team is, lane swaps have not happened in so long, then they can start falling behind in the early game, and you are going to have a very scary Caitlyn to deal with. Here we go. It is that lane swap. UOL sees it.
Yeah, Boogie gives it up. He's like, hey, Ananasik, how you doing? Santa's here as well, though. No Man's also off to the side. Reyna going to face check. Set though pretty durable even at level 1. Gets the face breaker down. And there's the taunt coming in. And Santa's wishes he was somewhere else. Oh, is Ananasi going to go back in? Boss with a stun. That's a first blood for the Camille. TP in for UOL. It's carnage already. Here's Gadget looking to play. The red buff did go over to Boogie, though, I believe. But first blood went to Unicorns of Love. So who's the real winner? It may be Paz, who knocks up Santa's with the Q, but he's going to be out of there. And this lane swap's turning into a full-on extended jungle invade. Ooh, little short on the blast cone, but perhaps it's better off this way. And now Gadget's top lane because they have to match the lane swap, Crumbs, because this is, you know, completely normal League of Legends.
She TP'd into that play. She wanted to be a part of it so badly, but that was just a big overstep out of the set, thinking that there was not going to be a follow-up from Unicorns of Love. They thought that they were really surprising them. Instead, we now just have a or just an inverted regular game of League of Legends.
It's Aussie lanes. You know, they're upside down, just like regular lanes. As Archer and Reyna here going to get the push going. Thankfully, we will get to see the 2v2 play out with the Orianna in the lane, because that was something that the lane swap could have potentially avoided, which is a kind of a creative solution for V3 here. as Ananasik is going to vertically jungle as well, going to take out this red buff. Boogie also stole one, which is why Ananasik is trying to make sure he secures both buffs. Otherwise, he's going to get himself 3 buffed and have a bad time. Also, Boogie might face check this Graves, but it's level 2 to level 3. And now Boogie's getting over. Ananasik happy to fight here. Graves just so aggressive, but Boogie does get the smite down. I believe he got the big raptor. He's running low on mana though, but Ananasik's trying to get that last few shots in and will force the flash.
Okay, so at least Karthus got a Dark Harvest proc there, but that's going to give the Graves more control over this bottom side of the map. Unfortunately, there's not a champion that you can dive down here. The Scion is going to have the wave pushing against him, so he'll just be happy to lose out on some CS and stay in experience range, but the opportunity to dive him, as long as he doesn't overextend, won't present itself. But it also means that the top side is split, that the Karthus gets the path to the top side, so the same way that Scion has to play safe side, now you've got Orianna and Nautilus playing this way, but because of the teleports being burned earlier, the Caitlyn has an advantage. Let's see if they can actually pull this or not. He does have Flash.
Flash Paz had to use it as well. Boss with the hook shot. Paz just respects the situation and gets himself out of there. Boogie is top lane, actually going for this. Reina with the Hex Flash in. But the hooked in onto Santos. That's just going to be a kill. Yeah, Santos is going to take out the Karthus. And Gadget, will he live to tell the tale? Archer going in. He gets the kill. Flashes out of there. And now Santos, no flash, but he does have Ignite. But Reina going to play Gatekeeper here as Archer gets away with it.
Okay, this one's getting messy there. It hurts the Orianna more than anybody else, but it's still a positive thread for Unicorns of Love. You see now that the bottom lane is freezing a wave, so the Scion is in even more trouble. Let's see if Graves gets a path towards the bot side again. The ward here is going to allow him to push up and overextend here, knowing that he's not actually going to get ganked. So focusing the bot side from Unicorns and Caitlyn focus from V3. Everything as expected.
Paz, though, is going to move up to try and break this freeze that Boss had begun, and I think he's been successful so far. Check in just a moment when the next minion wave comes riding in. Top lane, Santos is trying to get out of there, but not just yet. However, Archer is out of there. And, ooh, that's a BF sword quite quickly. Already ticking down stack off the Cull as well. So feeling pretty good. In fact, just going to TP down. Decided that I do want to be a bot laner again.
Wow, they are just being relentless in pressuring. It's like every single play that has happened this game is V3 doing something and Unicorns of Love trying to respond. They are just playing their own game and seeing if they can get Unicorns to respond, because what ends up happening if you just continue to match what V3 does is you're suddenly playing reactive League of Legends. You're not actually enforcing your own win conditions here. You're letting V3 do whatever they want, and they're clearly doing anything they want because they're just avoiding the bot lane all the time.
Kind of love what happened there. Paz had pushed the wave in after, I think, potentially getting frozen.
They're going top.
Had the Demolish procking in, and Archer zoomed in for the turbo plate donation. Like, picks up 2 plates after the Demolish proc from Paz, and that was straight back to the top plate. Don't worry about it.
Oh my god, they are just outpaced. It's really, okay, this is just going to obliterate the Camille. It doesn't actually do that much for the bottom lane, but now the Camille has to just bounce around non-stop, and she doesn't get to have a ton of farm, which was one of the win cons that we wanted to see out of Unicorns of Love, the split pusher against the tank. If Camille doesn't have the item, she's not able to split push or a team fight nearly as effectively as a Scion can. So it's just getting both with as little gold as possible and guaranteeing that you're going to have a higher impact that way.
Santos is going to match, and Anasik is going to get the dragon, but if cast your mind back, Crumbs, you know, when lane swaps were very common, one of the things it often does is kind of just leaves the junglers alone to do jungling. And for Boogie, that's great, right? He wants to power farm here on the Karthus. Ananasik also not too unhappy with the situation, but Boogie's starting to maybe move up towards the top half of the map. They do have the red buff back up ready that they can try and steal. And Archer is going to take out this control ward, so V3 moving in. Level 6 up for Ace as well, so he can join the party very quickly. But here's No Man's alongside the jungler. They're going to try and take the Raptor camp. Ananasik is going to go ahead and smite that away, but that's a big amount of damage from the Piltover Peacemaker out of Caitlyn. But Graves is going to walk out of the situation A-okay.
I wonder how close Karthus is to level 6, because that threat of the Galio coming in is really scary, but then you add the Karthus on top of it, and suddenly Unicorns have to constantly look at the minimap before they're thinking about taking any of these fights. Here comes Sion. Karthus must be close to hitting 6 if he's going for this.
Yeah, I think it's one camp away. That Gromp's going to die. He is 6 now, and here goes Sion. There's Gadget. TP in as well. I think Paz just going to get it after the Grave if he can, but here's Nomad to try and shut it down. He does get the kill, and now Paz going to run in after the Orianna, but I don't think he can chase it. But here comes Ace. Going to try and get it. No, Paz just has it. Never mind.
This game, they're going into the top lane.
The ultimatum, 3v2 here in the top side. Archer's going to be dead here easily for Ananasti as he gets the collateral damage over the top. Reyna, level 4, has the Haymaker ready to go, but that's not going to be enough. And who's the second kill going to go to? It's Boss that collects his check as UOL fight back.
Oh, Unicorns is fighting is such a cool thing to see. This was what I thought they really separated them in the finals from Gambit, being able to out-teamfight their opponents. And here, you did have a pretty free Sion walking into you, but being able to dodge out of those skill shots did stall long enough that forced the Galio to move down to the bottom lane. And guess what? If Galio moved bottom, he wasn't available for the play into the top lane. You would have loved to see a Galio ultimate to back up the Caitlyn up there, and maybe that fight would have looked a lot different.
All right, well, Battle Herald is on. V3 are just going to say thanks for the leash and take this objective out of there. V3's pace is breakneck so far in this game, and I like that we heard from Boogie before this game, you know, because when two teams aren't that familiar with each other, it's always interesting to hear what they have to say. And Boogie was like, oh, you know, we don't have that much data on them. Hopefully we have a good plan. And I think in his head he's thinking, they don't have much data on us either. And I don't think Unicorns will have expected this, but neither did Archer, as the Shrubbery Santas does indeed get the ambush. And now Reyna, I think he's going to die again here. The bottom lane is starting to fall a little bit apart as UOL going to pick up 2 kills once more.
Oh boy, if the concern was that Camille was going to get gold, that ship has sailed. She is giga-fed now, 3-0. This Camille is guaranteed to be a complete menace into the side lanes, and the Kassadin has gotten plenty of free farm as well. So now the scary points of Unicorns of Love are coming online. We're going to see how this happened once again. Really would have loved to see if that skill had hit. He looked for the command attack to have been used so that she couldn't immediately move speed away, but just a quick little sidestep was all it took. And then taking the kill is just a little cherry on top, so that Galio was not able to get it.
Yeah, Galio actually played really well. Watching that back hit, really nice movement on Orianna to dodge most of the skill shots, but here comes the real problem. It's Boss diving in with the Nautilus.
Yeah, I really think if Galio was actually able to be there, things would have been different, but now he's going to go down.
Waiting arms of Ananastic as Ace is going to get shot to pieces. May get the second kill there for the Graves as UOL starting to find the tempo they like here, I think. V3 have set a pretty quick game pace, and UOL are happy to play along.
You said their pace was breakneck pace here. I think they just broke their own neck on this one, though, because they have been going so fast. Unicorns have been calm and collected, waiting for the opportunity that they knew could outpace them, that they had the right combinations of damage and CC. And now with an 8-2 kill score, the side lanes become so scary. And you also have an Orianna that can eventually be placed in the mid lane and just happily wave clear. So they are already hitting their stride in their multiple win conditions, whereas V3s of team fighting around these objectives, still not there.
And, you know, we were excited, you know, for Gadget and Santa's, this duo lane with Orianna and Nautilus, but we were wrong, Crumbs. The real duo lane is Camille Nautilus, as Boss has been with Santa's by his side for most of this game now, it feels like. As you mentioned, Orianna's currently just a side laner. Right now, 1v1ing the top laner, but was against Ace, kind of like a mid laner for the last few minutes as well. Rift Herald, though, is going to get popped. This is one of the things V3 got, playing so quickly back and forth both sides of the map, and that is going to be first tower as well, so that's a lot of gold back over. Going to cut that gold lead down pretty significantly. UOL now only up by about 1,500 gold.
They're up this gold, and they're not going to defend this tier 2 that V3 is going to go for. Instead, we'll just concede the second dragon, get a little bit more gold in their pockets, and then rotate over. So nobody was going to come back to this lane after this. But the scary thing is that it's going to get to the point where no one on the side of V3 can side lane whatsoever against anyone on Unicorns of Love. They're going to dominate that department, and if V3 is conceding these dragon fights, Unicorns of Love having this early dragon stack can just forego the next few dragons and continue to gain advantages in the side lanes while V3 has to group, and they're not going to get the fight that they want. So I think that this is a really good position for Unicorns of Love at the moment, despite losing that little bit of gold to the Caitlyn.
You know, Crumbs, with the way the game has been going, I saw that ward that V3 had. Seeing that a dragon was going to go down, I saw 3 teleports and I thought V3 were just going to go for it. But they give away the 2 dragons, they even up the gold basically. UOL now only up about 500 gold after that Rift Herald play taking down the 2 towers. And Caitlyn's not done sieging. Archer's Infinity Edge already, by the way. It's 13 minutes in, and Boots too. So Caitlyn pretty accelerated off from all this movement that V3 have been offering in this game. I think you're right, though. They do have to maybe stop the dragons being given away at least quite so easily. But if Camille's the win condition on the Unicorns of Love side, it's certainly the Caitlyn right now for V3.
Okay, thinking about a dive here, but they see that everybody on Unicorns of Love is collapsing, and they could just try to turn this fight. That's a TP. No Nautilus nearby, though.
It is Gadget TPing in on the Orianna. He's the UOL bot lane player. Don't worry, you are watching the right team. Boss, in the meantime, going to go ahead and take down the Scuttle Crab. Doesn't have TP, but is going to be up relatively shortly. And Camille with that Trinity Force. As you mentioned, this is kind of the big obvious problem for V3 here, is just how accelerated Boss is in this game.
Accelerated, and so far yet from his 3-item spike that becomes the scariest of them all. That's the Hydra with the Death Dance. She is just an absolute menace at that stage, and knowing that she has just a free one-way ticket to that item destination is what's really scary now for V3. They have 3 minutes until the dragon fight that they really want to happen, but I'm scared for them. Will they actually get to survive up until that point? Because you see that the Caitlyn and Zed and Karthus have to pretty much just stick together the whole time because of how quickly they can get this burst down from the Unicorns of Love members that can come out of nowhere. Their engage is really long range as well.
Boogie has been farming up Storm as 8 turret plates to 5 in this game, so a lot of tower gold going over to either side here, as Archer is going to go back to do a bit of shopping as well. So with 2.5 minutes up until this next dragon, I think Karthus is going to hit level 11 before that point. And Archer already pretty strong, as we mentioned, and Gadget's still kind of charging up. Cassidy not really at the point, level-wise or item-wise, where he wants to necessarily get involved in a full-on 5v5. So it does feel like V3 are well set up to contest for this next dragon, but they're going to contest for this next Rift Herald instead, because they've been all about the early tower gold so far.
This is what they want. You can get the Caitlyn here early and start setting up some traps, but notice that they need the Scion to be with them before they can actually feel confident in going for that. The Cassidy is just making sure that the Galio does not have an avenue to teleport into this fight, since his ultimate won't be in range here. If V3 isn't prepared for this, Unicorns can strike out of nowhere. Now that Camille is here, her flash is up. You saw how quickly she was able to delete Archer. She has to stay next to the set. It's her best chance of surviving.
Comes Scion, but actually Santos goes in, and that's going to be a kill in onto Boogie. Already going to take down the Karthus. Here's the ultimate out of him. Galio with a very nice thought. Going to shut down Boss. Ananasi going to go down as well. And Reyna over the top with a showstomp. It's going to do just that as Paz and Archer are chasing down the rest. Flash in there for the Caitlyn's going to give that kill over. And now Santa's going to have to run away and hook himself to the wall. No Man's, though, on the back end of the play. He's able to take down Reyna. And who got the Herald? I believe No Man's got it. And he is going to get the eye and try and dip away. He's level 12, but he's getting chased out by the Galio. Nice roof walk, though. Gets him out from under the incoming Justice Punch. But is there any more left here? Ace is wanting to chase down this Cassidy. He's got double buffs as well. He's going to get the Q down, but he needs a little bit of extra help. The taunt not quite there in range. Nomads is going to get knocked up, and the Blast Cone is going to move Ace over as well, and that Justice Punch is going to force a flash, but Ace just follow flashes instead. And now Nomads, he rift walks over. He somehow had a little bit of extra mana left over. And Archer might finally get a kill after all. He's so close to being in range. That Q just barely misses. And now UOL, they're going to try and save the Cassidy. They're going to TP in, and Nomads, he gets the kill. He's got mana back. He's going to go in as well. Archer getting low. He's going to get slain by Boss. Surely there's the double kill for the Cassidy. He had no mana. He had no health. He had no hope. And somehow He's gotten 2 kills and assists, and he's almost back to half HP.
It was won! They had won the fight! It was a shame they lost the Herald, but the chase on the Kassadin turns into 2 kills for Cass and another one for Camille. Such a painful play, and that's a hurt pause. That's a hurt pause. Whoa.
Well, we all need a break after that. That was absurd.
Wow. Okay. Well, we can take stock of what just happened with the Herald play because V3 wanted to take the fight. We know they won a team fight, and the hero for me there was that the Galio was able to find a teleport despite Kassadin hounding him away. He was able to get into the fight first and lock down the Camille before stopwatches were able to be used, comboed so well with the Karthus ultimate. It all just fell apart off of that chase. It looked so tempting, but Kassadin with the fleet footwork staying alive and then just having just enough mana to live. Boy, that's a chase for the ages.
All right, well, we do have a pause, Crumbs, and I do know why. Haunter has made an appearance at Worlds. Despite not being able to make it in person himself this year, has been a water spill on the stage. I'm not sure who did it. I'm assuming like No Man's is like flailing around, knocking his water over after how ridiculous that play was, but that'll get cleaned up and we'll be back into the game ASAP. Sometimes life gets in the way, man, and water spilling on your keyboard, not a good time.
Yeah, I would have spilled whatever I had in my mouth after seeing that, just seeing the Kassadin turn things around. He's 4-0 now, right? This is a 4-0 Kassadin, the one guy you never give kills to. If Camille, you looked at her, she was fed, you can manage it, but now the Kassadin, now how can you sideline against him? You saw what he did to the Galio now, and he had barely any resources. With these kills added to him, it gets harder for V3. I got to take a deep breath because this game is still so winnable despite the score being so lopsided in the side of Unicorns of Love. Gold is close. It's something that is a difficult skill to have, which is when you're in the game, can you actually tell how close the game is, where you're at? Because we as spectators, we see the gold, we know exactly who's got what, but as a player, you just have to speculate on CS, on plates, on experience, and that can often get into your own head, and you might psych yourself out thinking that you're further behind than you actually are.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is like, oh, we're back in game. You know, gold is fairly even as we look up. It's 1,300 or so for UOL. They're going to take this third dragon as well. That's a really big deal, actually, as the Soul Snowball is well and truly underway now for the Unicorns of Love. V3 will be forced to contest at every Drake from this point forward, but yeah, sure, let's watch it again.
So Galio gets a TP, and the second he TPs, they go in. It's unlucky that Karthus didn't have his E available, but he gets a Poppy ultimate right away, and then it's a surprise Galio from the back that really turns everything around, right? You got 2 for 1 already. You're guaranteed to get these 2 extras after this one once the Caitlyn Flash. I believe they don't actually end up taking the Nautilus here, although this slow-mo makes me think that he goes down. We get to go back to this chase, which is just so tragic there. The fact that he walked forward, knowing that the Q was gonna be farther range, saved his life, and just barely dodging out of the Piltover Peacemaker. Just such a cool play here.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, oh. I mean, this is a man that clearly knows his way around Kassadin. I can see why it was banned so often in the final.
Oh, my. What can you say? You gave these 2 champions that are so scary so many kills, and now they're killing people in the side lanes again.
And it's just a menace. Level 14, 2 items, almost fully stacked the Rod of Ages, can't be far away from the transform. I'm sure Boss is diving poor Ace, who's been resourced from all the swapping, and Boss will just clean that one up. And this is kind of what I was trying to get at, where it's like, yes, the gold was close when we looked at it, and I think the scaling is like, I don't want to say equal, but like both teams have scaling champions they can rely on. I think the problem is that all the gold has gone to the scaling for UOL, where it's a little bit more evenly distributed on the other side, and the threats, the big threats for UOL are just online so much faster than you might expect. I mean, this Camille and Kassadin Like these are champions that are so challenging to deal with, you know, when they get going. But they're going so much earlier than you expect.
I think when they won the Herald play before the chase happened, V3 was clearly still in this game. They had shown that they could beat Unicorns of Love at some regard in the game, that if Unicorns was willing to fight them, they would win. But now that the objectives are on cooldown and there's nothing to do but lane, that's when you saw, okay, it's now really looking doomed there for V3, with the Camille being able to solo kill your champions, with the Kassadin solo killing Sion. It's just so tough from now on. And
it's not getting any better. That gold grab
it gets worse.
Almost made me spit out my water. Nomads has 9,000 gold. He's like 25% of UOL's total gold gained this game. He's so strong.
Just being able to find kills on Kassadin, this is what he does on this pick. It's so surprising because usually teams and players say, oh, Kassadin's all about being able to hit level 16, but if you can actually play a game where the Kassadin comes online long before that, where you're finding him kills, where you're able to use your incredible move mobility to influence fights, then you have even more reason to pick Kassadin than just as what it often is a scaling threat.
Yeah, just, I think, well positioned here. Noman's clearly a great pilot for the champion. And V3, for all the fun they were having in the early game, they're now down 5,000 gold, staring down a very accelerated Infernal Soul that they don't want to fight over, but they're going to have to fight over in 1 minute and 20 seconds. And Nomad's going to go back and spend some more gold eventually, as his recall does get rudely interrupted by Ace, and an Articuno already taking down the Scuttle Crab. He's going to go back. We're going to get some wards. We're going to do some shopping, and Unicorns of Love are going to look to tie up this game as they look to take down this Soul. So V3 must respond to this threat.
It is possible for them to win out on a team fight right now, but it's just so hard for you to even get to that position. How do you go about setting up the fight when you're being pressured from the side lanes constantly? You see that Camille is not leaving the lane. She's staying here. Same thing with Kassadin, who's already back on the map. And so you have to group up, and if you do, you're now conceding pressure in the sides, which allow the Kassadin to just have free access to. Look at what he does.
Yeah, he just doesn't care. I refuse to believe.
Wait a minute.
Oh, that's actually quite a lot from Archer. Boss also going to get spotted, but Reyna already dead. Gadget going to actually nab the last hit. And Nomad's actually going to go back to base. He can just TP in if he needs to. Great shockwave there from Gadget. Looks so good on this Orianna. And now the enemy jungler is going to be forced to flash away. UOL are going to chase in. And Anastic is going to grab that kill. Boss is going to dive into the backline onto Ace. Here comes the Requiem. But I don't think it's enough. Nomad's dominating after the TP back in. Takes down Archer. That's another kill dead as Ace falls, and Paz, he's going to be the last one left alive as UOL are going to kill the zombie Sion and grab themselves the ace.
This is fantastic pastry. Seeing UOL show up at Worlds here and actually play a composition that not a lot of other teams can pull off. Being able to 1-3-1 and then have an Orianna into the bottom lane deal with what V3 threw at you, which was just unorthodox from start to finish, and just stay true to their win conditions and execute in the team fight is really impressive. I think the UOL hype is definitely living up to it.
Yeah, this is quite the game. Again, we've under such like different circumstances, right? Like, not every team's going to lane swap on you and play as fast as V3 did. And for a while, Archer was actually reaping a ton of the benefits of all of the quick moves that V3 were making, but UOL have just responded better and then some. They're 10k ahead, and it's plays like this that make you realize why.
Which is exactly how the game started, too. It was Reyna face-checking into Santa's and dying for first blood, which ends up conceding the dragon to Unicorns of Love. They get the Infernal Soul off of that, and then the chase becomes all too easy because the set is so important for keeping away the Camille and the Kassadin from diving in. And at this point, they're so fed, they can do whatever they want.
Yep, no man's just flashing into the backline with Karthus ulti still ticking away. Easy cleanup there on the other end, and shout out to Gadget, by the way. It's unfortunate that like this is the game he got to play it because so many other things have happened that we haven't actually had a whole lot of time to talk about his Orianna. But that shockwave that managed to snipe the Karthus, that is not a first-time Orianna play a shockwave.
And that's what you want to see, too, from your Orianna bottom. Can you actually do things in a team fight? Because, yeah, we know you can farm, but can you play Orianna like a regular mid?
Oh my goodness.
Can you play League of Legends? Is
No.
the question I asked Boogie.
No, you cannot. If you're up against the level 16 Cassidy with 3 items, finish it under 25 minutes with Infernal Soul, no. The answer is no, Crumbs. You don't get to play. Ace, you don't get to play either. Oh my god, goodbye health bar.
Chase him. He can chase him.
He is. I mean, of course he can. He's just dead. Oh, I wish you refocused the channel was happening. Oh, a Q almost killed him. That was cool.
mana.
He's out of mana. Oh no.
Don't let him
Man,
auto you.
I think he's gone too far. I think he did. Yeah, he went too far. All right, good work, Archer. Cleaning it up. That's a big bounty. All right, still fighting. Good shockwave. Finds 2. UOL still in there as Nomads has been quite the distraction. Here's a big taunt coming in. Finds 3, I think, on the taunt. But Santa's going to clean it up. And I think UOL just too far ahead, Crumbs. The gold lead is ridiculous. Nomads is giving away his life, but for a good cause here. As the Nexus is going to be Unicorns of Loves in short order. Adanastic getting low, but not get dead just yet. Carter says, I don't think so. Ace in the hole as well, just in case. Reyna trying to keep fighting. As Paz also tying up the rest of them left in the base. Gadget is going to get a kill, but there's Boogie with a shutdown onto Gadget. Paz low, but Archer still fighting as Boss wants to get the Caitlyn, but he can't quite find the range. And now Boss is going to get the Ace in the hole blocked by Santas, as he's going to look to go back in, but he shuts down Paz instead. Not wanting to get punched anymore by the undead Scion. And that was a completely normal passenger play I just had to play by play.
Archer just used Caitlyn ultimate 3 times in that fight. Only able to find his mark at the right.
Ooh,
another kill.
Okay. Feisty, taking down Boogie with the anchor. That was a cinematic moment as Boss is somehow still alive.
All right,
we gotta stop it.
We could have ended this game.
He tried to end this game, Crumbs. He deserves credit.
He does. That was his first death. Still has a 400 gold bounty on top of him if he wasn't fed enough already. Unicorns of Love.
It's
just
happening
need to
again.
Up and in.
He only got... thought he was dead, but he's not. The nightmare's not over. Paz is the target. That feels bad. Oh my goodness, Scion, no! I'm so sorry, Nomads! Don't do it like this. He's gonna get taunted 1v4. He said that's enough. Doesn't have to flash. Oh, actually, he's going back in. That's so gross, Nomads. Oh, solo queue plays everywhere.
That's peak League of Legends. Can you make pro games look like your solo queue games? If you can do that, you're pretty.
I'm sorry. Very few people have run into Castidans like this. Nomads is putting on a clinic with this champion right now. And now Gadget's here to shield him off. That's not very fair. He was 1v4ing before. Gadget here going to make it a 2v4 instead. Nomads is running low on mana, which means that he can't do nearly as much silly stuff as he was doing before, but not going to stop him.
I want to see him put the shield on Cassidy and go for a shockwave like that. That's a really cool combo that only Orianna and Cassidy can ever do, and you rarely see them together.
And I know we haven't been outside of V3's base in a while, but if you're wondering, they have lost all their inhibitors and only have 1 Nexus turret. UOL are trying to put an end to this game, but Nomads, you're trying to do it in style. What a shockwave combo as they send in Santas for the absolutely stylish finish that only the Unicorns could find. And that's going to be an ace, a death again for Nomads, but it is worth the glory as UOL are going to get yet another team wipe, and they'll claim their first Nexus in style as they take down V3.
Unicorns of Love give us some of their old Camille and Cassidy, but also with the Orianna into the bottom lane to open up their first game of Worlds. A really exciting showing out of them, proving that mages in the bottom lane are still viable.
That was a blast, to be perfectly honest. And Unicorns of Love have entered Worlds 2020 in only a way they can, in bright colors and as loudly as absolutely possible that game.
They've got tracksuits. What else do you want? This team's got it all. They've got the name, they've got the plays, and the colors.
No Man's Cassidy. How about that? That's something that maybe you shouldn't get again. I mean, but it's such a... oh, man, there's so much to unpack. Like, it is a real shame that was Gadget's Orianna game. He also played really well, but we never got to understand